Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 2 of a best of 3 between Vesely and Nilla in the semi-finals of the Season 6 playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Bobr, and on our left in the red team, playing on the allied side, we have Nilla using the 2nd Infantry Indian Head and the balanced deployment type. And on our right in the blue team, playing on the Axis side, we have Vesely using the 20th Panzer and the Maverick deployment type. So in the last game, Nilla managed to get the better of Vesely over time using balanced versus Maverick. And well, Vesely's not going to want that to happen again, so we'll see how he gets on. This time with the 20th Panzer though, definitely has much better medium armor, maybe a bit worse infantry than the first Lovash, but yeah, definitely better medium armor to help him maintain his aggression in the early to mid game. On the side of the second, they've definitely got some fantastic infantry. You can get the Rangers early on, which have the submachine guns and flamers with 2-star veterancy. You've got Ranger Marauders, which also have 3 submachine guns and a bazooka and also a Willy Pete. And then you've got your standard rifles, which are fantastic mid-range engagement tools. They have, especially the rifles early, multiple M1 Garands plus a BAR, so they can pretty much match the DPS of Panzer guns within the 500 meter range. So that's what Nilla's probably going to look to do, is just kind of like blunt the offensive of Vesely once again, hold his ground, and then move in for the kill in the late game with the 155 point income over the 80 point income of the Maverick. Of course, he does also have his own decent armor. He has the Shermans. We'll have to see if he brings in maybe Rhinos in the early game. Rhinos could be a really great way to prevent the 20th Panzer from getting too much of a leg up, because the front armor of a Rhino is actually quite difficult for a Panzer IV to deal with unless it gets close. So yeah, there are ways for Nilla to really slow down Vesely, and we'll see if it happens. Alright, so let's have a look at the deployments. So up on the top side here, we've got the Ranger Marauder, Bazooka, 50 cal, Basics, Flamethrower. Basics also really good, cheap throwaway infantry. And then further down, he's got Bazooka, Rangers, Ranger Marauders, and Engineers. In half tracks, they're in M3A1 half tracks with the 50 cals. It's got more Rangers here, 3 more with the Flamethrower Engineer Leader M8. And on the bottom side, he actually has quite a lot of stuff. He's got 2 Flamers, Ranger Marauders, 2 M8s, 2 Rangers behind those, 2 Engineers, Engineer Leader, Basics. So Nilla getting quite a lot of forces down here. Really wants to make sure he holds that hill. Might try and push across, but pushing from that location is kind of tough. On the side of Vesely, let's start from the top. Panzervernichtungs, MG42, Panzer Grenadier Ersatztruppen. This Panzer Gun's moving down. Ersatztruppen Pioneer MG42, going to be defending the second bridge. MG42, bunch of infantry here. We're going to be seeing 2 Sturm Pioneers, 2 Panzergrens, Ersatztruppen, Pioneer Führer, 2 Panzergrens, another Ersatz. Behind they're split up between the 3rd and 4th bridge. And then on the bottom is going to be Panzervernichtungs, Aufklarer with the SDKF Z247B, and an Ersatztruppen up on the hill with the Panzer III. So it's quite interesting to see how far back Vesely's deployed on this bottom side and how little he has committed here. If Nilla realizes this, he could certainly make a play for this bottom side. There is a big numbers advantage. I think Nilla may be expected to play onto this hill early on, but it seems like Vesely's started very passive. He's deployed quite far back. It's a similar deployment to the first game that we saw, where both players are kind of like respecting each other, don't want to like waste units by having them killed in transports at the start. And I think that's okay, but in some ways I would have loved to have seen maybe a mortar here, get some smoke down, charge the hill, etc. Get like a big play like that going at the start, which is super important. In the games where we saw like Under the Sea versus Gonzo, Under the Sea always had a plan with his Maverick decks to make or get an early lead. And I just don't see quite the same aggression coming out of Vesely. Maybe he's waiting for his Panzer 4s and Panzer 3s here to catch up, getting AA up early as well. He's actually bringing in 2 Flak 43s at the start here to kind of like cover a push. But the position of this push is kind of odd. Like, he will likely go for this flag, I assume, but this is at the bottom of a hill overlooking it, which is kind of rough. And he's also got to like funnel his armor across a bridge, like especially without smoke cover or anything like that. There is an 81mm mortar on the way though, so maybe he's going to use that for smoke. Smoke is so important when you're pushing across chokes like this, so making sure he has that on the field is certainly something that I would like to see. But yeah, the Flak 43s, maybe you're just going to wait for them to unload. It's just very, very slow start regardless. Panzergrens, looks like he's spreading them out a bit. Get him into position. Going to go for the flag here as a lead. And then I guess potentially make it into this flag as well. But look at what Nilla's doing. He's just chilling right now. He's got 2 basics down here, ready to attack move up if he needs to. He's got the flamethrowers just spreading out. One of them's going to even try sneak around the bottom of the map. He's got the engineers not even unloaded. He's just going to keep them in the half tracks here, because there's no need, right? He doesn't need to unload these. He can just push up. Like, say the Panzergrens get pinned down, he can maybe use a half track to go and surrender some of them, and then unload his engineers on the other side of the river, which would be favourable to him. Of course, there is the armour behind, so he's probably not going to do that. But there are situations where that might occur, and then you would go for it. But in this case, probably not. Mortar rounds are coming down there, do pin down the flamethrower. Seeing the front line fall back like that, Vesely might commit his forces forwards. Yeah, slow and steady so far. Will he, however, win the race? We'll wait and see. Panzergrens coming under fire from the M8. Not too much to worry about. As long as the 50 cal's not firing, the Panzergrens won't get pinned that fast. Panzer 4s and Panzer 3s. Looking for the shot onto the M8. Nilla's going to pull that back. I think Nilla's just trying to weigh up the size of this push. But so far, Vesely hasn't really been punished at all for pushing across the bridge like this. The thing is with the 2nd US is they don't really have like crazy air that could really like do a number on this early on. Like, he might have, they got like Thunderbolt bombers and Thunderbolt rocket planes, but you don't really see the Thunderbolt rocket planes come in early in a balanced deck. Oh, that's a mistake. Letting the engineers get killed in the half track there. Realizes underneath, unloads the 2nd engineers, but they're going to come under a lot of fire from the Panzergrens and the 3 units there, the 3 armoured vehicles. 2 Panzer 4 F1s and the Panzer 3 L. Panzer 4 F1s particularly good against infantry. They do have the stubby gun, which has the extra damage versus infantry there, the 2.2. And yeah, he's managed to pick up 1 flag, 13 to 11. Now we're going to see the off map, and that's what I want to see. An early game off map play that can give him these extra flags that he's going to need to push 15 to 9 in the early game. And if you can start to push a 15 to 9 before you reach phase B, that's the winning formula for the Maverick deployment type. Panzer 3 here, waiting to engage the M8. It's just currently turning its turret round very slowly. I had to almost 360 that turret. Other Panzer 4s and Panzer 3s coming in there to try and help finish that off. Rangers getting caught out in the open here is pretty big. As here comes the off map. And with that off map coming down, oh, nice kill onto the Ranger Marauder there. Gotta be a bit careful. Engineer leader gets hit as well. Good stuff. Flamethrower almost goes down. Flamethrower on the bottom side smoking itself off as it comes up against some Ersatztruppen. M3A1 could look for a couple surrenders here. Now an M4 arriving. M4's going to be pretty good against like the Panzer IV F1s because they don't quite have like decent penetration, but I guess when a heat round like smacks you clean in the side armor, 8 damage is going to do the job, so there you go. P-38 coming in with the bombing strike. That's what we need. Good bombs on these. M8 going down. I completely forgot about the P-38. Yeah, those have 2 big 500 kilogram bombs that can really do a lot of damage to medium armor, so Vesi's got to watch how he doesn't group too much in the face of those, because Vesi will keep bombing with that as long as the AA is not close enough. And currently this AA is actually quite far back. He is attack moving it forwards, but with the aggression that's coming through, it's going to be a little while until these Flak 43s actually cover this bottom side completely. But as that's open, Panzergrenz, Sturmpires moving in. Looks like the M4A1s here managed to get the better of one of the armoured pieces and take out another one. Panzer IV goes down. Panzer III goes down. Can the Panzer IV get taken out before it fires a shot? Yes, it can. So 2 M4s there and the M8 dealing with all of the resistance on this flag, and it goes back to 12 to 12. Off-map did hit nicely though on this bottom side and certainly cleaned up some units that would have been an issue, especially the leader. Taking the leader was actually really nice with the off-map because it takes away the extra veterancy that these units would otherwise have, and that allows the Ersatztruppen in particular to trade a lot more favourably. Panzergrenz managing to get their MG42s off is going to be really nice. But the rifles in this engagement do a lot of damage. Stalin has been brought in. Previously, when Nilla was using the 20th, we didn't actually see the Stalin on the map, but we've got it this time around. Vesely going to be investing quite heavily into this big boy, an IS-2 1943. Panzergrenz getting some good hits there onto the engineers. Will the off-map kill either of these tanks? Oh, it will kill both! Oh, that's so big. Really nice off-map there. Also killed the M8. That's huge. Big hit. That was Stalin's got nothing to worry about. Probably didn't care about the M4s anyway, but yeah, that is a really nice hit from the off-map there. And Vesi's going to want to capitalize for sure. He might not know that that happened just yet, so there is reason for caution here for Vesely. But when he realizes that the M4s are no longer here, his armor can get very aggressive. Bazooka might cause an issue for the Panzer III. The Panzer III has its APCR turned off, looking for the kill onto the M8. Managed to pin down the basics, gets rid of those. As it's open, trying to clean out the flamethrowers on the bottom side. Are they going to smoke themselves off again? We'll have to wait and see. Panzergrenz, will they kill the bazooka? That's an important kill. Making sure the bazookas go down here is really important. Because bazookas are very cost efficient. 20-point squads, kill 40-point Panzer III. You know, that's good kill there. Ideally, you want to kill something bigger, like the Stalin, for 200 points. But regardless, like, as long as it's paid itself off 2 to 1, you're probably okay. Panzervernichtungs, currently trying to engage engineers, actually doing quite a lot of damage in their engagement. Panzervernichtungs do have just 6 G43s, so their damage isn't all that bad. But Panzergrenz, obviously, at longer ranges, are much better, and they pin down these engineers very quickly indeed. And they're going to stop these engineers from getting into their satchel range, so that's really good for Vesely. More Panzergrenz now coming in, as it's open on the way. We are now into phase B, so a lot of units coming out of the spawn every single tick. Currently only 14 to 10 though. I'd like to see Vesely obviously go for a 15 to 9. I think it's very important. It is hard on a map like Bobr though, because you have to commit to more than one bridge. Or these Hellcats could be a problem. Of course, M10s and Hellcats. Very good penetration with low damage on that APCR. Kinda scary for the British Stalin to have to deal with. So we'll have to keep an eye on that British Stalin. See if it gets flanked, but now off map coming in from Nilla. It's going to try and like curb some of the aggression coming through here, but he does have a really good position here up on the hill. The bazooka kill onto the Panzer III is actually super important there. It stops the Panzer III from sniping transports on the road. Oh, nice double kill from the P-38. Beautiful. Looks like Marder 1 bailed out the Hellcat. Yeah, on the bridge here. The cheeky shot. Taking out the Hellcat. Don't think the Hellcat had line of sight. Now the Bobr Stalin looking for engagement on the bottom side. Hellcat's looking for a penetration. Can it find it? Yes, it can. That's one penetration from the Hellcat. Only needs maybe like 3 more. Probably a bit more than that, actually. No, it's 3. Yeah, he needs 3 penetrations to kill the Bobr Stalin. The Bobr Stalin has 12 HP, and the APCR of the Hellcat does 4 damage. So he's going to need 3 hits to kill it. Misses that shot. You know what is bad about the Hellcat? It has low APCR ammo. So he's hit 1, he hit 2, and he gets the gun jam. That's perfect. Why kill the Bobr Stalin if you can just gun jam it? Now, one thing that's happening here though is Vesely is probably noticing the salient that's growing in the center of the map, and he's built up a bunch of infantry and a couple of T-34s to make a play for it. So he's got control of these 2 flags on the bottom side. He's looking for that 15-9 flag, which is super important, because what it does is it makes it a double tick, where the time that Nilla has left to take back the game will half. So if he can find himself another flag here in the middle by pushing across here with the Panzergrens, that will be super important. He gets a couple Panzergrens across, he unloads a couple early, and well, he's going to reveal the bazooka, which is the information he needed. Yes, the bazooka got an infantry kill there before it unloaded, but it is going to stop these T-34s from getting killed, and I'm sure Vesely at the moment is very much paying attention to this attack. Although an M3 OP on the bottom side has just charged through the off-map that it placed in hopes of getting some surrenders, but ended up just getting itself surrounded. Panzer T-34 there. Going to be going for the Bofors engagement. The M3 OP captured this flag briefly, but back to 15-9 for Vesely. So he's found his 15-9. There's currently like just over 5 minutes left until phase C, but Nilla only has like 10 minutes left on the game. So this is a much worse position for Nilla to be in than he was in the last game. Like, it took Nilla quite a while to get to a 15-9 in the last game. It was like more towards the end of phase B. Whereas this time around, he's definitely hit the timer a lot better. He just killed a Hellcat there, which was nice. And he's continuing the aggression across multiple bridges. So he's got these Flampanzers now pushing across. The Ranger Marauders, they're probably going to be reloaded in time. Just keep popping these Flampanzers. Maybe this one will get close enough. The range on the Flampanzer is not very good at all. It's only 160 meters, so it's kind of rough, but it's going to carry on. Well, not any longer. Ranger Marauder picks up 2, or 3, sorry, of those Flampanzers. To no reply. Good kills there from Nilla, but it's still 15-9. He's got to get this hill back somehow, because it's losing this hill is really, really rough. So at this moment, like, if the Panzer III moves down here, it can get line of sight onto this road without even being seen on the top side, and that's tough. That's really tough. M3OP finished off by the T-34. Looks like again M3OP off mapping, and then Nilla's charging through it to look for the surrender. That time didn't quite work out. Ended up blowing up his own vehicle with his own off map. Hellcat again going down to these Marders. When Marders are trading with Hellcats, it's very, very nice indeed, because yes, they cost the same amount, but there's a very limited supply of Hellcats. Well, there's probably a limited supply of Marders, but they don't really matter so much. Especially when you've got an abundance of like Panzer IVs and stuff you can bring. P-38 coming in with the bombing strike. This P-38's done quite a bit of damage, but that bombing strike completely whiffed. Might even get shot down by the Flak 43s because they're not very strong. And just to get away with it this time. But the Flak 43s are definitely a lot further up, which is good. It's exactly where they need to be, just to cover off this bottom side from future air attacks. But check out this top side. With the Panzergrens unloading, they've managed to find and kill their Ranger Marauder squad that killed off all of the half-tracks. There is still one Ranger Marauder hanging about. It looks like it's probably ready to pounce some of this armor. But the Rangers at close range, oh, look how quickly they demolished that Panzergren squad. Down on the bottom side, Hellcats do take out a T-34. But this is some good aggression going on right now from Vesely. He just needs to keep it up. Get his fingers in all the pies. Get them across all these bridges. And just keep the pressure up in Phase B. Use that income to his advantage as long as he can. Can't afford to drop the 15-9. Because on a map like Bobr, once you get pushed back across that river, it's going to be very hard to come back. One of the Hellcats did go down. Hellcat does manage to hit the Panzer IV F1 as well. Engineers moving up. Is the Hellcat in line of sight? No, it's not. Panzer III and the two T-34s doing okay right now. Bazooka takes out Panzer III. Nilla is getting quite a decent amount of value out of these bazookas, and the Ranger Marauder squads, which is really important. Hellcat takes out T-34, also took out the Panzer IV there. Hellcat's done a really, really good job. And this Hellcat do the same thing with the help of the Rhino. Well, the Hellcat goes down, but the Rhino should be able to continue this engagement. It's going to be difficult for the T-34 to penetrate, but the Rhino also not penetrating either and gets loader knocked. That's not great. Half track pushing through here. Nothing in its way. With the armor going down, it's just going to sit there on that flag and hold it. Still maintaining to 15-9. On the Flampanzers, spreading out. Looking for those surrenders. This is looking very promising for Vesely. After what was a disappointing early game for the first Lovash, he's had a much better time with the 20th Panzer. Definitely started slow, but it almost seemed like he did it on purpose. Got the off-map in on this bottom side, took the hill in a very calculated manner. Now these Flampanzers looking to just surrender a bunch of this infantry. Those basics go too far, they'll probably go down. Oh, M4 might save the day. Going to be important that this medium armor kind of gets rid of any of these half tracks that are pushing through. Vessely's actually managed to get that into cover, using the light cover there to block the attack from the M4A1. Now moving back in the opposite direction. If he can get the flamer onto the engineer leader here, that's actually really big. Still surrender all of these units. Okay, the Hellcat manages to stop that happening. We are back to 15-9. And the Maltia's going to fix up the gun jam on the Boyder Stalin, so that's going to be back in play. Not that the Boyder Stalin's really a good unit in this close range environment, but it will be good for maybe like one-shotting a Rhino if it comes up. Panzergrens picking off the bazooka. Well, that M4A1 Rhino looking for the shot onto the Flampanzer. Doesn't want to see that anywhere near him. One thing that Vesely's kind of lacking down here is the ability to kill this Rhino, because that Rhino at the moment is probably just going to stop all of this infantry. And yeah, he has a Panzer strike that might be able to penetrate it, but it needs to be able to get close enough, and currently it's not. But just check this out. Vesely really going hard across all these bridges, now managing to find the top side flag, and you can just see Nilla's like scrambling to send units to every part of the map. And eventually, if Vesely like keeps up the pressure, like it will break in a lot of places all at once. But we have now reached phase C, and it's gone back to 13-11 quite quickly. P-38 also getting shot down by the Flak 43s though is good for Vesely. Remove some of that support. M3A1's getting rid of the Pioneers. Can Nilla, or sorry, can Vesely find this win? He really needs it. It's currently 1-0 to Nilla in this series, so Vesely really got to make a move here that secures him this game, and the Panzer not quite managing to just yet. Is sitting on the 15-9 again though, especially with the salient on this flag. Ranger Marauders dangerously close there to the Bundestalin. B-38 getting 3 bombing strikes onto nothing because it completely whiffed. But yeah, it's up to Nilla again to make sure he takes back some of these flags and stops the 15-9 long enough that he can get enough units on the field to push back against Vesely. So we're kind of in that point, that twilight zone, where Vesely really just needs to seal the deal, or he's going to be lost. So yeah, it's still crazy close at the moment. Einsatztruppen versus Basics. Basics, if they kill off the Einsatztruppen, they lose the salient. Another flag gone, but Panzergrand's moving up on the top side. If they can get in the building, they can kill the M301 half-track, which would actually be pretty big. But the engineers might be enough to kill off the Panzergrands, although Vesely's not going to let that happen, probably surrender those with the half-track. On the bottom side, the Panzergrand's still trying to make a move onto this flag. Do manage to get the Panzerfaust onto the half-track. These Panzergrands just can't do anything against the M4. It's forced to run away, but the open side, the top side's opened up a lot very quickly. Taking this flag, taking this flag. There's only one basic in the middle here. The F-109 is going to take out the rifles. It looks like the Bundestalin probably did go down to the Ranger Marauders in the end. But the Panzergrands, oh, they almost got the Panzerfaust on target. That would have been massive for that engagement on the bottom side, and would have definitely secured the hill for Vesely for another few minutes, which would have been exactly what he needed. 3 minutes, 15 seconds left. Panzer 3N going down on the top side. 15-9. Vesely is holding on for dear life right now. He's gotta get it done. Panzer 4 moving up. Vesely's going to want to make sure that bazooka's gone, otherwise the Panzer IV is not going to have a safe engagement. But then again, he doesn't necessarily have to force an engagement here. If he captures these flags, he forces Vesely to come to him. Now you see here, Vesely, after investing the off-map, is now using the off-map vehicle to take the flag. Really, really, really important BF-109 strike there to take out the bazooka. And the Ju-87 also going for the Rhino here. The Rhino, he does have line of sight over it, so it's an easy kill for the Ju-87. And that is wonderful to see. Really, really crucial airplay on the bottom side there. Might have just secured him this win. That is big. And we're not really seeing like that many units coming in. I think Nilla, he just... It seems like Vesely's managed to do enough damage. And Nilla hasn't had enough time this time around to get units back onto the field. The KD must be so far in favour of Vesely right now. 1 minute 40 seconds left on the map. Can he take it from Nilla? Panzer Grenadiers not able to kill off these engineers in the half tracks. They can throw their grenades, but they need quite a lot of time on target to actually get the job done there. Panzervernichtungs's were not close enough. We're back to 14-10 briefly. Oh, big bomb here. Oh, it took out 3 units of Panzergrenadiers. These are some beautiful bombing strikes from these P-38s. Managing to avoid quite a lot of that AA with some low flying. Basics gonna clean up that Panzergren. Panzer IV's just got to stay safe on this flag. Looks like the Pioneer's gonna come in, maybe secure that flag as well. Especially it needs to happen since units in the mid are getting killed off. But Panzervernichtungs's here. Oh, lovely kill onto the M4A1. That is beautiful. It looks like the Panzer IV-G also took out the half tracks on that top side, and Nilla actually surrenders for 26 minutes. After 26 minutes and 48 seconds. What a game. For a second there, I thought Nilla was going to do the same thing he did in the first game and managed to hold back Vesely just enough to take back the game. But no. Vesely finished the job. He got the 2,495 kills, which is really, really important. Nilla losing the extra 140 points there because he off-mapped his own vehicle. But which is fine because I probably used up its strikes. If it didn't, that's kind of tragic. But either way, early on, things started very slow again. Vesely's style with his Maverick deployment type is not as aggressive as I'd like to see. Like Under the Sea, I think, is the perfect example of a strong Maverick player where he finds his advantages in Phase A, not Phase B. Because Phase B for Maverick should be the time in which you solidify your victory, not find your victory. And Vesely, I think he managed to do that. The timing wasn't perfect, but he definitely had the 15-9 by about 15 minutes, which is good enough. But you could see it was on a knife edge at one point. It really was. But then he managed to get some good trades in and seal the deal. So also Vesely's aggression across like the entire map and not just on that bottom side for the whole game was really important for spreading Nilla's units around so that he could then find breakthroughs in multiple places towards the end, which made it really, really difficult for Nilla to prioritize where he wanted his extra units to be. So yeah, nicely done. But P-38's getting some really nice bombing strikes in there. The AA wasn't really too effective in this game. I think he shot down like maybe one of those P-38s with the Flak 43s. So these P-38s actually got quite a nice chunk of damage done. This M1 gun actually managed to pick up 2 Panzer 3s and a T-34. I'm not even sure where that was. This Ranger Marauder killed the British Stalin, killed the off-map vehicle, but that's because it charged across the bridge, of course. But it is a nice day when your bazooka squad kills a 200-point tank. Hellcats, they didn't really do what they were supposed to. The Hellcat's a nice unit, but it's a good unit for trading against higher cost units. It's not really the unit that you want to use to trade against similar cost units. So in this case, Panzer IV F1s or Panzer III Ls or Panzer IVs, right? If it can trade well, then that's great, but it's not the primary purpose of a Hellcat. The Hellcats are there to kill off heavier armor. And so maybe I would have liked to have seen more of the Rhinos early on rather than the Hellcats, because that would have been more difficult for Vesely's medium armor to deal with. Also, maybe more AT guns. Like when Nilla was able to sit on that bottom side and not even like unload his engineers, for example, why did he not bring in an AT gun to secure that? Like that would have been perfect, because then it stops the aggression across the bridge from the Panzer IVs, which could have easily been punished earlier by like a P-38 as well. There were times when I thought that Nilla maybe was just a bit lax in the early game with his counterplay to Vesely's push. And it just kind of allowed Vesely to get into a position where he could off-map that hill and take control of that hill. And losing that hill to the opponent on Nilla's side is really, really rough. And definitely hard to take back. And you saw Nilla struggle with that for the rest of the game. So, yeah. Slow and steady at the start, but he did win the race. Good job, Vesely. Liked that game a lot. Very, very fun to watch. Got to a very much a knife edge towards the end there, but Vesely managed to find that like big last push that sealed the deal. So we're back to 1-1. And we're going to be moving on to a third game between these two, which is absolutely fantastic. Gotta love it when it goes to a third game in a best of 3. Yeah. Especially when these two players are so good. So really, really looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys are too. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.